Hi, I'm Dr. Theresa Oswald from Knowledge is Medicine, and today we're out here at this great pond, and it brings to mind something that I have been enjoying all my life, which is floating on water. And at first it was just something fun that you do when you're at a lake or in a pool, but I spent a few weeks in Iceland. And I was in Iceland in the summer, but we were talking about how the people that live in Iceland maintain their mental health during the seasons of the year where it's very dark and gloomy there. And they do a lot of water activities, mainly around something called a hot pot, which is a natural, like hot springs, where communities gather and they float and socialize. And it's so popular that two women developed a company where they created these floating devices that are very simple, that just are like a small like neoprene floaty helmet, and then some flotation things that go around the thighs. And when you're floating with those, you don't need any effort to keep you buoyant. So you can totally relax. So I was wondering if there was research about this, and there is a lot of research regarding the type of floating that's done in a tank. They call that restricted environmental sensory apparatus, where you're floating in a very shallow amount of water, and then there's Epsom salts or magnesium salts in the water to make you very buoyant. And there's great research that shows that that helps with reducing pain. There's one study that showed that floating, people with fibromyalgia that floated had a relief in pain for 2.5 days after each floating episode. Other studies have shown that it reduces stress by 30% in people's perceived stress level, and also that it reduces the stress hormone cortisol in their body. There's also some really novel studies that say that it improves athletic performance, and even in musicians, their ability to improvise. In jazz musicians could improvise more when they floated for an hour at a time for once a week for 4 weeks. So that research is all great if you have access to a sensory deprivation floating tank. But most people don't have that, but yet floating still has a lot of benefits. So what I like to do is to use this floating equipment that I bought from this company in Sweden, and that makes it very easy to float without any effort. But you actually could, kind of put that together in a do-it-yourself MacGyver type way, where you could use just floating noodles, underneath your legs, and then one kind of arched behind your head. And then for the sensory deprivation part, meaning you're floating, you're not taking any effort to keep yourself afloat, but you still have, some sound coming in through the ears. And also there could be some water coming around your ears, even inside this little floating helmet thing. So you can use swimmer's earplugs, which are just kind of waxy type earplugs that just go in the opening of your ear, not inside your ear. And that would block out sound to reduce that sensory input. And if you can close your eyes. If that isn't enough to reduce the sensory input there, you can just use a simple eye mask. So combining that with your floating equipment, really it provides a kind of low-cost alternative to the floating spas, and gives you benefit that not only can help pain, can reduce stress, improve anxiety, reduce your blood pressure, and also increase your creativity, especially if you're a jazz musician. So just a thing to think about. Unfortunately, here in Pennsylvania, summer's fading, so floating in this pond today isn't going to be possible. But I'll share pictures or a video of me floating earlier this summer, and it's very enjoyable. Some people feel like it's very meditative. I feel that way, but it is an easy way to relax your whole body, in combination with something that is known to improve your stress level and also reduce pain. So think about letting your troubles and pain float away when you have access to the water in the summer. or in an indoor pool. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. This is Dr. Theresa Oswald at Knowledge is Medicine.